Hello there, I'm Black Bright News, and I wanted to talk about Nigel Farage. And I'm talking about him because he's becoming quite influential. And he's becoming quite influential a lot of the times because of not giving all of the facts. Now, I can't give all of the facts, but he's making proclamations if he is elected president that he, because of legal machinations and law and other kind of commitments or convictions that the UK has made, he just can't bring it into fruition, regardless of what he says. And I know he'll have lawyers who advise him, but when he's campaigning based on emotion. It's subjective and it's based on his opinion, his feelings, and they don't always add up. Remember with Brexit, he used, you know, propaganda really to win the Brexit vote. But we have to remember that it's not just about the 16% of foreign nationals in the UK. 16%. That's all it is. That you are going to sacrifice your freedoms for if you allow Nigel Farage to come in. I'm not going to use a racist card. I'm not going to use a fascist card. I'm not going to use all the other names that they call him. I just want to give you some information so that you can make a come to a fair conclusion on whether or not what he's saying has any credibility. So I'm going to have to read from my notes. You know that's what I normally do. So Nigel Farage's party has set out a 4-point plan for immigration, including leaving the European Convention on Human Rights, allowing zero illegal immigrants to settle in the UK, and establishing a Department of Immigration, and returning migrants who come over in boats to France. Isn't that already happening? That's the first thing. So he's not saying anything that's not already being done or tried to be done, but he's making it look like the current administration or government is not doing what they say they are going to do. And he is claiming that he will be able to do what he says when he's going to face the same problems the current administration are facing now. So, he claims a freeze on non-essential immigration to protect our culture and identity. What can be interpreted from some of his debates on protecting British culture and identity is that he wants immigrants living in England, number one, to speak English, to dress it in Western style clothing, to adopt the British culture, I assume eat fish and chips and shepherd's pie. And but then again, the majority of Brits love a curry, they love a pizza, they like Chinese meals, some of them even like Bob Marley. Many love Strictly Come Dancing, even though the origins of most of those dances come from abroad. So, under the party's plans, immigrants who commit crimes would have their UK citizenship withdrawn, with the exception of some misdemeanor offences. That is already in place. He's not doing anything different. He's not offering anything, really, that's not already in place. And he will come up with the same problems, if he is elected, that the current administration are facing. So what does tight control of immigration look like? Farage argues for a freeze on non-essential immigration, meaning most legal migration should be curtailed. He is very tough on illegal migration. His party proposes stopping the boats. Nothing new. Nothing different here, but can he pull it off? Because he's talking about leaving the EHCR. So when we're talking about deporting and stopping those illegal boats that he's referring to, The UK signed up to UNHCR in 1951. UNHCR stands for the UN Refugee Convention, which is an international treaty that defines who a refugee and who's a refugee and outlines their basic rights and the legal obligations of the signatory states. When the UK signed the treaty, they agreed to the principle of prohibiting the return of refugees to a country where they face serious threats, and the definition of a refugee is someone well-founded with a well-founded fear of being persecuted. The convention, along with what is the 1967 protocol, serves as a cornerstone of international refugee law and the UNHCR's works, and there is nothing that Nigel Farage can do to override it, regardless of what he is proclaiming to do to get your votes. Why do you think the current administration is struggling? It's not for the want of trying. Non-essential immigration is a political term often used in debates about migration, but it does not have an official legal definition. It usually refers to people moving to a country for reasons that are not considered necessary for the country's economy, public services, or humanitarian commitments. So it typically includes, essential workers are skilled workers, students, family members, refugees, and asylum seekers. No difference there, exactly the same. Let's see, non-essential immigration. The Conservative Party would say it means low-skilled or low-wage migration, people not filling skilled shortages, some types of family migration beyond spouses and children, migration routes seen as not contributing enough economically. Once again, there is no different from the current administration. The Labour won't say non-essential immigration, but they would say reducing reliance on overseas workers by training more UK workers, cracking down on employers who undercut wages, and ensuring migration only happens where the UK genuinely needs workers. They're saying the same thing. Reform UK. This is Nigel Farage and Richard Tice. All low-skilled migration, most student dependence, all forms of family migration except spouses and children, anyone not earning above a higher salary threshold, many types of temporary migration. There's no difference to what he's saying than what is happening. Drastically reducing visas, raising wage thresholds, limiting dependence, prioritising citizens for jobs, keeping only skilled essential workers. Exactly the same. So, what do the Liberals call it? Migration that does not expect human rights and economic contribution. Their focus is a more open system which safeguards against exploitation, not strict caps. SNP, they reject the term non-essential immigration altogether. Their view is all migrants contribute. Restrictions should be based on fairness, economic contribution, and humanitarian duty. So we have to remember that non-essential immigration is subjective, a political term. It does not override international laws on asylum or human rights, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Nigel Farage will tell you that he's going to do all of this stuff about immigration and he can't do squat. He cannot do squat because of international laws. And if he tries to leave the European Union of Human Rights, I'm going to do a separate video on that one. You're going to see how you are going to suffer as a British citizen. Forget the 16% of the foreigners. They're used to a hard life. But are you, as a British citizen, are you used to it? Are you willing to be treated poorly, unjustly, unfairly? Because those are the repercussions of leaving the ECHR. So I'll do a separate video on that. And yeah, I hope you found this useful. Bye-bye.